Hey guys, it's Vanessa from Unmasked. Now that we've all had a chance to review the probable cause documents multiple times, I know I have, and compare it to the news reports, timelines, etc., there are some very interesting things, one in particular that I want to talk about in this video. Now, there are obviously a lot of emotions tied into this case. However, it seems like lately the trolling and nasty comments are kind of out of control across the board. So let me just say this before we get started. Yes, I understand that Bryan Kohberger is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Yes, there will be speculation based on the facts that we have in this video. If speculation in true crime is highly offensive to you or triggers you in any way, this video is probably not for you. So in some parts of this video, I'm going to use the term the killer. That doesn't mean I'm implying that it's 100% Bryan Kohberger. Before we get started, please hit the like, subscribe, and the notification bell to all, and you'll be notified of all of my new content on this case and others. Those three things really do keep channels going and help a lot. And if you are subscribed to Unmasked and did not get a notification for this video, please unsubscribe and then resubscribe. No idea why YouTube does that, but it's a thing. Okay, let's jump into this. So it was clear to me at this point that Bryan is very book smart and may have a very high IQ. We don't know yet, but looking at some of the information that we have now, it seems he may have underestimated how different fantasies are from the actual application and all of the variables that he clearly didn't take into account. I've been thinking about this a lot with so much conversation everywhere about why he would allegedly make some of these mistakes that seem so obvious for someone who has so much education in criminology. I applied my own life experience to it, and it really does make sense, actually. I myself am very book smart, but street stupid. So I can definitely see how this can happen. I had a job once where in training, we had a lot of testing. It was highly competitive, and they even ranked us against each other. And I remember I scored second in the class with a 99%. However, when this huge real life situation happened right after training, and I had to go actually do those things that we studied in real life, there was no comparison. I didn't know what I was doing, and it was the people who had actual hands-on experience that taught me everything. So I hate to compare that to murder, but I think you get my point. Studying and learning things in school is completely different than actually being in a real life situation. I personally think that is where Bryan allegedly tripped up. So that leads me to the topic of this video. We now know that his phone records put him in the area of the girl's home at least 12 times before the murders. So I have questions. We heard from the very beginning that Kaylee mentioned she had a stalker. Turns out she did. So my questions are, was she referring to someone else and it's just some horrible coincidence, or did she sense the killer following them around? This new information in the PCA just really makes me wonder why Kaylee thought she had a stalker. So let's go over what we know so far on his cell phone records, and I'll give you my theory on why I think that he may have gone back to the murder scene in a panic and on a mission. Bryan's cell phone records show that he was at his apartment in Pullman, Washington on November 13th at 2:42 a.m. and then at 2:47 a.m. he was heading southeast through Pullman. At approximately 2:47 a.m., his phone is either placed into airplane mode or turned off, but either way, it's not pinging off of any towers. The phone remains off of network until 4:48 a.m. when it pings off of a tower heading south from Moscow on Highway 95. According to his cell phone records, he then travels south to Genesee, Idaho, and at 5:27 a.m., he's caught on camera back on Washington State campus, and by 5:30 a.m., he is pinging back at home. So I'm not a killer, but I'm willing to bet that when he gets home at 5:30 a.m., he's still possibly in this kind of crazed mindset or on a high from what he allegedly had just done, and probably going back through it in his mind. It's very possible that in his adrenaline-filled manic state that the killer wasn't aware that he didn't have this sheath until he got home. I imagine that he possibly would have gone over in his mind what he just did over and over, and that maybe he had this oh my God moment where it hit him like a ton of bricks that he must have dropped this sheath at the crime scene. Being that he does have some knowledge on crime scenes and forensics, my guess is that this would send him into an absolute panic. I mean, I think it would send anyone into a panic, especially since he is reportedly kind of arrogant and a control freak. So now he has a choice. Does he leave it and have the chances of him being caught exponentially higher, or does he take a risk and go back and try to get it? I think it's very possible that he decided to take a risk and go back and try to find it. Bryan's cell phone records showed that he left his apartment at 9 a.m., so less than 4 hours later. His cellular data puts him back at the crime scene at the house on King Road at 9:12 a.m. He was there until 9:21 a.m. What was he doing there for those 9 minutes? I thought at first maybe he went back to check out the chaos around the crime scene, but he would quickly see that there was none. The 911 call didn't come in for another 3 hours. In addition to that, he had to know that when the murders were discovered, it would be absolute chaos and it would be all over the news and social media. He would know immediately. So again, why would he chance going back to the house during the morning when he could be easily spotted? I really think it's possible he checked out the scene, saw that it was still quiet, and went back in the back sliding door. I personally don't think that Bryan saw their surviving roommate, Dylan. I don't think that he had any idea that she was in there, and probably was very surprised to hear that there were 2 other roommates in the house. I think that after fighting with Ethan and Xana, he just wanted to get out of there and was hyper-focused on getting out those back doors. When pictures came out of the crime scene, and I don't remember specifically if it was Fox or News Nation, but they both had the best coverage on that. It was one of the two. You can clearly see a shoe print in the dirt with an evidence marker. It looks like a boot to me and many, many others online. In fact, there was quite a bit of speculation that it was a military boot. People were all over social media showing their military boots, comparing it to the pic. So why is that footprint not mentioned in the probable cause affidavit? Why is there only a mention of a latent footprint that they believe is from a pair of Vans inside the house in front of Dylan's room? Latent means that it's not visible to the naked eye, for anyone who doesn't know. So was this print a print that was wiped up? It's definitely possible that he stepped in blood, and very likely that he stepped in blood and tried to wipe it up. I would assume when he took that trip down to Genesee, he just kind of threw some evidence out the window. The drive is 33 minutes, so he really wouldn't have had time to do anything more than that. But at 9 a.m., he was most likely wearing different shoes. That could explain the possible 2 different types of shoe prints at the scene. On December 3rd, investigators were seen back at the house and were collecting bags of evidence from the first floor, which those of us watching thought was kind of strange since nothing had been said about him being on that level. Furthermore, on December 7th, when the news of the Elantra broke everywhere, Fox News reported that a neighbor had stated that the front door of the home on King Road was wide open sometime between 8 and 9 a.m. the morning of the murders. That never made sense to a lot of us, and the police refused to comment on it when asked, stating that it was a part of the investigation. The probable cause affidavit states that the killer entered and exited through the back sliding door. So why would the front door suddenly be open in the morning? I think it's possible that he went back in and tried to find the sheath, but couldn't because he had absolutely no idea where he had lost it, and he was probably really nervous, didn't know how much time he had, didn't know if the police were going to show up. He may have even assumed that he lost it near Xana and Ethan, since that's where he reportedly had the struggle. Maybe the dog started barking, maybe he heard a sound, but for whatever reason, he did end up leaving, not being able to find it. Maybe he went through the front door in an attempt to not walk through any more blood in the kitchen or leave any additional evidence, and left through the front door and around that left side of the house that has the wooded area next to it. investigators did seem to show a lot of interest and take a lot of photos of that area. So to summarize, you have the footprint that's not mentioned in the probable cause documents, the front door wide open that morning, which doesn't fit with any of the events we've been given, his phone pinging there, even though it's extremely risky for him to be there when the police could be on the way or anyone could walk by and witness it, and December 3rd when they come back and concentrate on the first floor. Did they realize at that time that the killer may have come back to the scene? And of course, remember that the probable cause affidavit is the information that was enough to make an arrest and not even a fraction of what they have and what is still coming in. I personally believe that these were his first murders. However, I absolutely do not believe that they would have been his last. So what do you guys think? Do you think that the alleged killer would have returned to the scene to get the sheath since it's such a huge piece of evidence? Why do you think he would come back that morning? Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe. Love you guys and see you next video.